Let me start by saying that there are a lot of reasons why people are criticizing Marvel's Wolverine. And honestly, some of them I can understand. So let's talk about it. One of the biggest complaints I've seen is about the stealth mechanics. Some people argue that Wolverine is supposed to be this brutal, aggressive character, so why would he need to sneak around? Others feel that while the combat is violent, it doesn't completely capture Wolverine's rage and ferocity. There's also been some criticism surrounding his healing factor. Insomniac has made Wolverine mortal during combat, with his healing being limited during fights and a rage combat mechanic that can bring him back once. And I can understand why some people would say that this doesn't fit Wolverine. Personally, I don't think the stealth mechanics are game breaking for a Wolverine game. Wolverine has actually been portrayed as a very stealthy character in some of the comics, so I don't really have a problem with it. When it comes to the healing factor, though, I can understand both sides. Yes, making Wolverine mortal during combat can make him feel less like the unstoppable character he's supposed to be. But at the same time, I can't help but wonder how the gameplay would feel without it. If Wolverine literally couldn't die, I feel like players would become extremely careless. There would be very little reason to pay attention to anything other than attacking. But at the end of the day, when it comes to combat, this is how Wolverine should feel: aggressive, violent, and constantly pushing forward without caring about dying. Another thing people have been criticizing is Wolverine's design. The model, which is based on Liam McIntyre, has received some criticism from people who expected something closer to Hugh Jackman's version. And look, I love Hugh Jackman's portrayal of Wolverine, but I actually think having a different design is a good thing. Hugh Jackman portrays Wolverine. Wolverine doesn't portray Hugh Jackman. I think having different interpretations of the character is actually important. Then we have some of the gameplay sequences that people have been criticizing. The Sentinel boss fight is probably one of the biggest examples right now, and honestly, I can see why people don't like it. The fight does look a little out of place. It almost feels like something taken from an older game, or even from a completely different type of game. I think some people would blame the studio for trying to make the gameplay too cinematic, and while I absolutely believe games can be cinematic, I don't think everything needs to be cinematic. There is a place for that. Cutscenes. When I'm actually playing the game, I want the gameplay to feel like gameplay. And when the game wants to take control away from me and give me a cinematic moment, that's when I think it should go all out. Then there's something that has become almost unavoidable with this game. The game has already become a target for memes and a lot of negativity. And I understand that developers want their game to be loved. Hell, I think every player wants to love the games they buy. But criticism is always going to exist. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, the important thing is what you do with that criticism. If you're a developer, it's up to you to decide what criticism is actually useful and what isn't. Take the constructive criticism, learn from it, and use it to make the product better. So why is this game getting so much hate? Now, I think we all know there are a couple of bigger reasons why this game has become such a target. First, Sweet Baby Inc. Their involvement in the development of the game has obviously become a major talking point. By this point, most people already know what the controversy surrounding them is about. A lot of people are concerned with woke elements being pushed into the game. Things like changing the appearance of characters, replacing male characters with female characters, or adding dialogue and story elements that feel more focused on those themes. Personally, what bothers me more is the audio and dialogue. A second big reason is PlayStation's decision to move away from physical games. And as someone who buys around 90% of my games physically, yeah, I'm pretty pissed about that. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop playing the games. I already own a PS5, so obviously I'll play Wolverine when it comes out. That doesn't mean I'll necessarily be buying a PS6 in the future. And I think that's an important distinction. You can disagree with the company's decision and still enjoy current games that are getting physical releases. Future will tell a different story. So I think those are the two primary reasons we're seeing so much hate surrounding this game. At the end of the day, everyone is free to hate the game for whatever reason they want, and they're also free to buy it or not buy it. That's the beauty of it. My biggest recommendation to developers would be this: if you're not going to listen to your audience, don't be surprised when that same audience criticizes you. You don't have to agree with every criticism, but you should at least understand why people are making it. That's all for today, and let me know. What are your thoughts on Marvel's Wolverine?